Welcome back to Illini Bears Talk. A tough loss against the Texans. It was a pretty hard watch for both me and Sam, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys out there. A lot of people are panicking about this loss right now. So I just want to get from Sam really quickly. What's your initial reaction to the Bears' defeat against the Texans?
Tough game. Definitely a tough game. It was expected we would lose, but in this fashion is only Bears fashion, in my opinion. The defense was phenomenal. They did everything we could have asked for. Only kept them to sub 20 points, which is insane. We somehow covered on plus 6.5. So Bears spread betters. There we go. And obviously the offense, just the wheels fell off there. So regarding the elephant in the room, Caleb Williams, I don't think Caleb Williams did bad per se. I think he played actually pretty good in the first half. And if you remember, Chris Collinsworth was talking about how Caleb Williams was night and day from game one. He was getting the ball out quick. He was 7 for 7 for 60 yards. So he was playing pretty well. You know what I mean? He was getting the ball out. It's just that interior O-line and the running backs, we could not establish a run game. I think that is the biggest issue on the field. No run game, we cannot do anything. It's first down and 10. It's either a false start, delay game. It's a run for -4 yards, or just obvious stuff. It's almost impossible to counter it. And then from there, there's not much we can do. So, yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams tried his best. He's a very tough dude. He got hit a lot. This O-line really needs to be addressed. Shane Waldron called it okay game. I don't think it was terrible. It's just when your front O-line cannot block, you can't do anything. But yeah, I mean, tough loss definitely. But I'm pretty optimistic about this. I think he will definitely bounce back next week. What about you?
Yeah. Okay, so first thing, to get right off the bat, we're talking about a team that was a 6.5-point dog on the road against the Super Bowl favorite in the Houston Texans. I'm very confident that the Houston Texans are going to be a great team going forward. I'll eat my words on what I said last week on the podcast about this Texans defense. They're a phenomenal unit. I wasn't too surprised about the interior, how they played, just given their first performance. But Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones were
Darnell Wright was so good.
I don't know what happened with Darnell Wright. It was a very disappointing performance from him for sure. Not going to make it bigger than it has to be, but it's definitely disappointing for a top 10 tackle pick to display that again on a very bright stage. I think, but with that being said, we were big underdogs, and you don't want to take this too out of proportion. We need to keep the expectations a little level for this Bears team. It's not going to kill us down the road. We have an easier stretch coming up against the Colts, a very depleted Rams team, the Panthers, who are historically terrible and just benched Bryce Young. But yeah, I'm not going to push the panic button, but obviously for what you're hoping this potential for the team could be, you didn't see that on Sunday. And to talk about the run game really quickly, this scheme, I think there's two things at play, or even three. I think the scheme is not great, but DeAndre Swift's vision is becoming a real problem. There are multiple times where so he really extends run plays for some reason. He will make sure to just keep going outside when he should be reading inside to go through the B gap. I think there's a run play specifically where he lost 2 yards, but he could have cut up field for a 4-yard gain. And the Bears are constantly behind the sticks. The stats are on first and second down. The Bears have a 34% success rate with runs. You don't really need to know a success rate, how they determine that, but basically only 34% of the time when we run the ball, it leads to a good outcome for our offense. So being behind the sticks a lot, plus not being able to have time in the pocket. Caleb Williams had a very low time to throw, but nothing could develop downfield. So when you're just behind the sticks and you don't have the time to throw, it's a recipe for a disaster, and that's what we saw. But like I said, I'm not pushing the panic button. Sam, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this out as well. Like, there's a lot of people who are like already writing Caleb off and stuff like that. I don't think that's smart at all. He definitely played okay for what he had to do, and I'm just a little bit worried about his big plays that really hasn't translated to the NFL and his inaccuracies on the deep balls. I mean, we were given the luxury of Justin Fields. The one good thing he was good at was deep balls, and we're just used to him hitting every single deep ball. It's not really the case for Caleb Williams as of now. I feel like he will be better. It's just that I'm really worried that if this persists, we'll have the same mistakes that happened to Justin Fields, where his internal clock's messed up. He develops happy feet, stuff like that. Then it would be terrible. But regarding that, I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. I think if anything, regarding next week, it's going to be a beautiful game. It's going to be a beautiful game. I think we're going to see a whole different team out there. I think the one good thing with Shane Waldron is he takes accountability. He said he's going to fix Cole Kmet being on the field, and he was on the field a lot more, but he wasn't targeted as much. He still received the ball a lot, but it was way better than the first game where he played less snaps than Everett. And there's something I want you to think about, Rami, which is how they were doing a blind snap count. Did you see that? How
Yeah. Renee Davis would tap on Coleman Shelton to snap the ball.
This is terrible. Why? Why are we doing that? The stadium is not that loud. How is our offensive line that incompetent that they need to do a blind count? Really?
It's
Like
actually a fair point, yeah.
we have Caleb Williams IDing blitzes as a rookie QB in his second ever start. And then we have the veteran Coleman Shelton and the ultra veteran Nate Davis doing a blind count. I don't understand it. What's going on over here? So I really think Chris Morgan should already be on the hot seat. And you guys know my opinion on Matt Eberflus. He should be fired. Should be a DC, not a head coach. But we'll leave it at that. But definitely Chris Morgan. He got promoted. I don't know what's going on. Like, I really don't. Like, the one thing that I'll say is there's got to be fundamental issues inside the Chicago Bears franchise. Whenever players come from other organizations, they somehow get worse. Coleman Shelton was a serviceable center. He sucks now. Nate Davis, don't even get me started. He was okay to above average on the Titans. He's well below average. Tevin Jenkins has somehow gone worse. Braxton Jones has played okay at most. We developed him, but okay. And then Darnell Wright, Darnell Wright's a great player. He played very good week one. He had a bad game, but I just don't understand how these free agent signings come here and do so bad. DeAndre Swift was amazing on the Eagles, terrible on the Bears. Keenan Allen, it's already too early, but Keenan Allen's already missing in games. He's dropping wide open touchdowns. Rome Odunze dropped an end zone touchdown. So it's the coaching goes. The thing is, this team was not just a quarterback away. This team needed a lot of help on it. They needed a lot of interior linemen and better coaching, which I preached for. I wanted Matt Eberflus gone because he's not winning us a Super Bowl. I really think coaching is the extra mile that all the Bears players are missing.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned it's not just players that come in and then become worse. It's also players that leave and get better somehow.
Exactly. Lucas Patrick.
We call him Lucas Fatrick. And
Lucas
Sam Mustipher, like two horrible centers on the Bears, a position that probably we've been the worst at in the NFL for the last couple of years.
As well. It's the
Lucas Patrick was historically good this weekend, according to PFF. A 97.0 rating. Like, you don't understand. I don't think people understand how high of a ranking he put in a historical performance. And they were saying the same thing about Mustipher last year. And somehow, when they're on the Bears, they can't figure it out. They look like garbage. And Coleman Shelton, same thing. He was very highly ranked on PFF. I know it's not everything, but like these are real people watching the games. Either they're trolling us and they want us to go mentally insane. I mean, I'm not watching Lucas Patrick highlights, but it's just shocking. And And I totally agree with you. This offensive line, something needs to change. What's really really sad to me is like you can kind of see in the last two quarterbacks. Like, say what you want about Justin Fields, he was a very dynamic player, but sometimes it really does feel like this offense just sucks like the creativity and dynamic ability of these quarterbacks. I mean, when have we one time seen Caleb Williams make a play where we're like, yeah, he's the only quarterback apart from Mahomes and Allen that can do that? Because that's what scouts were talking about him. Arm angles. Uh, Ryan Poles calls him an artist because he can only throw the ball in trajectories that almost every other quarterback in the league can't.
Not getting time for the routes to develop, Rami.
Exactly. He
Routes are
has
not
the lowest time to throw in the NFL, which is actually why I'm not even worried, because the fact that he's withstanding this pressure and getting the ball out quickly, which is what Justin Fields didn't do when he got pressured, is why I'm very encouraged. But Ryan Poles, man, you're offensive line guru. Where am I seeing that right now? I mean, you look at Shane Waldron's offense with the Seahawks. Well, Geno Smith, he averages close to like 6 yards downfield per throw, 6 yards average air yards. Well, Caleb Williams right now, he's dead last in air yards per throw, 2.2. He's throwing the ball 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's
the number one overall pick.
Yeah, and there's actually a footage. One time we dropped back and Odunze is developing a deep out, and he actually gets open, but he just gets swallowed immediately. Caleb, within 1 second, these big plays that are left off the field because of the incompetencies of this offensive line. And God, I like if it doesn't get fixed, this offense is just going to be so unexplosive, and it really does need to get better.
So sad.
But just before we go, Sam, do you have a silver lining for Bears fans who are kind of looking for hope going forward for the season?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be too worried. It's this man, Caleb Williams, he has sky-high expectations just because of where he's at. Let's be honest here. If Justin Fields was playing last night, he would have been sacked minimum 12 times. Minimum. Caleb Williams got that ball out so quickly, which is a great thing. This interior line is not going to play this bad every single – I mean, I really hope not, or else I'll suit up. I'll suit up right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big of a deal. I think we're going to play a little bit better. We're going to let routes develop. DJ Moore won't be freaking out every single play. It will all develop. I think next week it will be a whole different story. We'll talk about it on our Friday podcast, but I'm really intrigued to see week 3 because that's where everything happens. We already expected to lose last night. It wasn't an issue. We already knew that. We just lost in Bears fashion, per usual. But next week, I really am intrigued how to see how we take care of business.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test, but I think if there's a game to put your expectations into really seeing this offense explode like how we want it to, this is the game to do it with the Colts team that's expected to lose to Forrest Buckner. But again, we'll talk about that more on our pregame show. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Keep your heads up. I hope the Bears will bounce back. I believe they will. If you believe in Caleb, you believe in the future of this team. So, yeah, with that, we'll see you guys for our Colts pregame.